VAR needs some consistency. Hey guys, welcome back to the Arsenal podcast. Arsenal 3, Liverpool 2. What a game, to be honest. Wasn't quite ready for this. There's three stages pretty much for me when I watched this game. I woke up literally 15 minutes before the game, feeling very sleepy. I was on the couch, laying down pretty much. And then, within a minute, we scored the first goal. And I was like, oh god, okay. Here we go. Here comes the emotional liability now. And I sit straight right in front of the TV. And towards the end, of course, everybody has to stand up and watch this game. But this game, it's definitely by far the worst Arsenal performance I've seen in this season, of course. I know a lot of you guys might be thinking, for non-Arsenal fans, you guys might be thinking, oh, dude, just shut up. You guys won, blah, blah, blah. I'm just being honest here, guys. But the fact that Arsenal, the first half was horrible. Yeah, we scored 2 goals. We were being very clinical in the first 5 minutes of the game, and towards the last 5 minutes of the first half, we were being very clinical in that moment. But during that time, you guys look at the stats once again. Possession rate. Of course, Liverpool got more of it. They got 61 possession total in the first half and 39. In the first half, Arsenal was so sloppy with their passes. We just couldn't. Pretty much Liverpool dominates the midfield area. And you guys can see Arsenal is playing very passively towards the whole half pretty much. It's just one counter attack, boom, that's it. But before going to the game, let's talk about the build-up. Honestly, Arsenal against Liverpool. For me, I'm not that type of fan. I'm not that type of a fan where I assume everything is going to be in our way. We're going to win every game. We're going to win the title. No, I'm not that type of fan. I'm not that delusional. But from a realistic point of view, I might be optimistic for this game because again, Arsenal hasn't beaten Liverpool for the past 5? Was it 5? 4 or 5 of the last league games, and that's troubling, right? Like home and away, Arsenal just struggling. The last time they beat them was behind a closed door, where I believe Liverpool won that season, and that game doesn't quite worry much. And for Arsenal has to win that game. Remember, I think it was Van Dijk making a mistake. I remember like I said, and also Nelson scored that game. But this one's completely different. The fact that the build up into this game was massive. We just won against Spurs 3-1 last week. And of course, still we are yet to face a more challenging and more of a decent side. Again, we lost to United, hands down, of course. Credits to them. They took all the chances. Of course, Arsenal got more chances in that game, but the fact that towards the end, United scores all the 3 goals when it matters, That's a very important part for United. And for Spurs, again, the Spurs game, the red card can be controversial, but for me, it's a red card. But we won. We won for good. It's not like a lucky win or anything. But this game, it's so much of a mixed feeling. And of course, there are, I don't know, like the starting lineup. It's quite interesting, to be honest. There are already rumors going around that Zinchenko's not going to be part of the squad. So I assume, and the fact that Kieran Tierney got pulled out of the game 60 minutes in against Bodo Glimt, and we thought, okay, it makes sense. Seems like Zinchenko is going to be out. Tierney, we want to rest him for the next game. We don't want to play. We don't want him to play the full 90. That's fine. And you put Tomiyasu in there for a while. Okay. But this game, it's different. You put Tomiyasu on the left-hand side, and I think it's a very good topic. It's a very good conversation. It's a good worry within the team. Where does Tierney stand at this point? I don't understand. Simply, I just don't understand at this point. Because the most favorable decision that you make, it's probably putting Tomiyasu on the right. When I saw the lineup, well, I didn't quite see the lineup. I saw the caption first. I saw Tomiyasu back in the line, and I already assume Ben White is not going to be in there, but turns out Ben White is in there, and Tomiyasu playing on the left hand side. And I don't know. I feel bad for Tierney because he is more of a natural lefty, but when Tomiyasu, his utility, it's so valuable to the club that he is being able to play on the left side, middle, or even right. And today he dropped a master class, to be honest. What a performance by him. It took me a while to realize Salah's on the pitch. And and the fact that Tomiyasu deals with the aerial ball was so good in the air. Just very calm. You just couldn't get him. I mean, he might got dribbled past once, but other than that, he has pocketed Salah throughout the whole game. And something that we have to applaud for. And this is going to be a main concern for Kieran Tierney in the future because, again, I don't think he is that bad early in the season. I think he did pretty good, Tierney. But when Tomiyasu, a natural right back or a right center back, replace you as the main left back in that game, in such a big game as well, many eyebrows should be raised at that point. But moving on, okay, to the game right here. First minute, I just woke up. I clearly weren't prepared for that. I didn't even quite celebrate, to be honest. But the fact that the build-up was nice, Saliba got the ball, even though it somehow ricochets back, I think from Nunez back to him again. And then, of course, we saw the counter on the right-hand side to Bukayo. Ooh, that's a tight one. The fact that VAR didn't really take a closer look on that one because I thought when I look at the VAR replay, I thought that was an offside, and I just turned around because I thought they were going to call off that goal, and they didn't. And that's the worrying part because, for me, I'm delighted to score that goal, but it also shows the inconsistency. The fact that, of course, very controversial because even though I thought it might have been an offside, but at the same time, I'm happy because we scored. So, but Martinelli, the pass from Odegaard was so good, and Trent got exposed again on the right-hand side. Literally, the lack of positional awareness, his defensive awareness. He didn't realize that Martinelli is going to make that inside run, and he scored. And of course, what a great finish, even though it hits Alisson for a bit, but that run and that pass from Odegaard was just key. And later on, from the 5th minutes to the 40th or 45th minutes, we were just quiet. We were really, really quiet. We just couldn't really get the ball, can't maintain the possession. In this type of game, you try to gamble, right? You would, okay, Zinchenko's ready. I think Zinchenko might be very valuable in this game because the way how he can retain the ball the majority of the time, but we can't play like that because Tomiyasu and Kieran Tierney, they don't have that particular set of skills to be able to operate like that. But instead, we play of a more defensive side, trying to play wide for the wing backs instead of tucking in the middle, being inverted. I don't see that happening, but you can see the majority of the time. Liverpool set a 6-man circle in the middle. So you have Jota on the left, Nunez up front, and Salah on the right. And in the middle three, you got Thiago, you got Henderson, and you got, oh God, I forgot who else. There's a circle. And you can see Partey was the only one in the middle of the circle. And meanwhile, the attacking five, it's just kind of up front, and then every time when Partey gets the ball, we tend to lose possession because we just couldn't really pass it out wide. Well, of course, I'm sure Klopp tends to do that, or in the pre-game match team talk, definitely they went over that, and that's kind of silenced Arsenal in the middle. And the first horror that I experienced, it's the handball from Gabriel. I think that's a penalty, guys. I think that's a penalty. I know it is kind of a 2 feet difference, but the fact that you like when you look back, why would Gabriel's hand would be in would like why is his hand or his arm it's that high up, around his head? In that situation, you don't do that, right? And the fact that, and I thought, oh, like they're gonna check that, they're gonna give a penalty. Boom, VAR did not give a penalty, and I find that interesting because in any circumstances, for example, if Arsenal play against I don't know whatever team, but if that happens to Arsenal, it might not be a handball either. But the fact that there is no consistency within the whole VAR system is just kind of very disappointing because yeah, VAR it's there to balance the game, to correct the wrongfulness from what the referee has made. But in that circumstance, it's an entirely different topic because I'm sure there are definitely tons of incidents in the past where even one back call from VAR gives them such a nick to the system and to the referees as well. But in my opinion, that should have been a penalty. And later on, Gabriel with a big mistake. I don't know what he was doing. The ball was over him, and I thought, okay, well, I'll go over that later. But the way how he clears the ball was so weird to me. It's so bizarre. It's just I think that was called lazy defending. He wasn't even going for the ball. He was just hoping he made contact with the ball and just kind of like poke it in the air and gets it with a header or something like that. But no, he did not. Instead, honestly, in different situations, different defenders would probably saw that one coming, would go to the ball at least and try to clear it to the sideline. But Gabriel did not. And the fact how Gabriel just kind of casually trying to nick the ball away, in the end, it was like he made slight contact with the ball, but in a very unfavorable direction too. I believe it was yes, it was Luis Diaz the whole time. So yeah, it was Luis Diaz on the right-hand side, grabbed the ball, and of course Nunez making that run in the middle, and of course he scored. And I don't even blame Saliba for that because that cross is meant to be through his leg. It happens, but it shouldn't have happened the first time, to be honest. And going back to the source of that goal, it's probably from Gabriel. And I said this multiple times where he is always like one mistake away from just cost the game. But again, it didn't happen because in a way he redeemed himself in the second half. But how many times do we have to go through that period, that sort of performance from Gabriel? It already happened against Fulham. That was a very poor mistake. Thank God we came back and won. He made a mistake against Spurs. Arguably, Xhaka could be the one to be blamed with because a bad touch inside the box led to the penalty. But Gabriel just very clumsy at times, and today is just very clumsy as well. I don't know if I still have to trust in the player, but it's definitely a good discussion for Mikel Arteta to assess his future because it's very easily that Tomiyasu can tuck in as a left center back, or Saliba can play as a left center back and put Ben White as right center back and Tomiyasu on the right. You can do that too, in a way to punish Gabriel. But going on, okay, and then later on, we have counter attack. I think it was from a free kick from a corner or something like that. Martinelli got the ball, I believe, and just keep running to the box, to the final third of the box. Trent is right there, Henderson's right there, and knowing the capability of what Trent can do defensively, it somehow, the pass was just perfect. I don't know if it's like intentional for him, intentional for Saka, if not, but again, that's a very good finish and good awareness by Saka. Is right there at the right time, And second half started. I missed the first 2 minutes, but Arsenal had a chance apparently. And later on, our possession got a little bit better. Finally, got more to the ball. Kind of utilized more in the middle, and I kind of like I like that, to be honest. I felt like momentum is coming until that goal was just horrible, horrible to concede. It's just a very simple run to the middle, right? Like, was it Firmino? Firmino drags across just like very easily, just like that. And nobody was paying attention to him. Saliba kind of moves a little bit. He might be at fault. Gabriel shouldn't be at fault at that goal. I don't think so, but maybe he could have tucked in a little bit more quicker, or stick with Firmino a little bit earlier than just allowing him to make so much space in the box and allowing him to shoot. That was a problem right there. And I was like, oh God, just as we thought, we were getting a little bit of a momentum. And then we just conceded that one very horribly, 2-2. And I was like, God, I just can't really catch a break at this point. Defensively, there's still a lot to work on in Arsenal. We just still can't really keep a clean sheet at Emirates in the Premier League so far, or at least for the past 5, 6, 7 games or something like that. Hopefully, we'll get a clean sheet at home very soon, because, yeah, it's a win, but it would be much better if we actually keep a clean sheet in the Premier League for once, at home at least. Later on, Gabriel Jesus got knocked. I was like, oh God, like, hopefully he is okay, because the way he fell on the floor doesn't seem like to be like a contact to his foot or any lower part, but it's more of a syndicast elbow to Jesus, like nostril area. I see a lot of people think it's a red card, but I don't know about that one. It can be a red. It can be a red, but at the same time you can say it shouldn't be a red. That's totally fine. But that moment was very scary, and I'm thankful that he picked himself up and tried to do it again, and he was fine in the end. But the way how he fell was made me very worried, and the fact how Firmino, Alisson, I believe, the other team just kind of waving at the medical team, and I thought, oh God, that was I hope it's not going to be serious, but turns out it was fine. And then and the Odegaard, that chance bugs me, because I felt like we wouldn't put ourselves. Actually, I think that happened before the goal, but that one has so much talk for it. I just don't know how it happened. Somehow landed on Odegaard's feet. He dribbled. He actually got a lot of space, right? Doesn't necessarily he has a lot of time in that area, but the fact that he should have placed it instead of just trying to blast it right straight at Alisson was just very disappointing. I don't think Odegaard has a good game, despite having a very good pass, that killer pass for the first goal. But other than that, it's just moments like that shows Odegaard still needs to improve in this game. He is a good player, but there are certain moments, especially like that, it's not being very clinical in that moment, because in that situation, I think Fabio Vieira would have taken that chance much more comfortably than Odegaard. And I thought, Odegaard was going to pass to Saka a little bit earlier, but instead he tried to go for himself. Yeah, you just like the fact that he started shooting, but those situations when you start to shoot, you just have to score, because you're pretty much in the box already, and nobody was in front of you in that split second. And you have to take that chance in that split second as well. And what Odegaard did was just pretty much go straight down the middle to Alisson. And I was like, oh, Lord, here we go again. And just like that, we conceded that goal. And of course, offensively, it's not like we were bad, but there are moments where we decided not to pull the trigger at all, right? I felt like there's so many moments. For example, there are a couple of times where Martinelli was on the left-hand side. He got the ball, tried to cut it. I felt like, if it was Thierry Henry, it was pretty easy for him. Cuts it, put the ball down. You either go left trying to make a cross, or you cut to your right and shoot on the first time. But Martinelli doesn't have that in his game yet. It's just a lot of delay. Just a lot of touches in the box, but just none of them became like a real threat to Alisson. Later on, 75 minutes, Liverpool conceded that penalty. Yeah, I think it's a penalty. I mean, it is. I understand Thiago, wasn't like he was going for the ball, but it was just a very clumsy challenge. It got Jesus' leg in the end, his foot, and I think that was a penalty too. But of course, there were a lot of conversation prior to that, like of course Gabriel's handball, the offside from potential offside from Saka. You guys can arguably can make a judgment for that, but that one should have been a penalty. And of course, Saka's right now is like, oh, I don't want to watch it. I know it's like a big stage, but Saka is up there again, and he scores in the end, so I'm happy about that. It was a very good penalty too. I mean, Alisson got the right way, but there's so much power behind that shot from Saka. And then pretty much towards the last 10-15 minutes, we've just been like holding on to the back. And this is the problem. Usually in that situation last season, you would summon God, Rob Holding, into the back three. But instead, you just kind of put Tommy Yasu in the middle now, and then you have Tierney on the left, and Rob Holding's job, it's pretty much done and dusted at that point, right? I thought there might be a chance we were going to add another our fourth center back in there, but I don't think there would be a lot of balance in there. But towards the end, Nketiah came on, Tierney came on. I think he did a pretty nice job. And Vieira came on. I felt bad for Vieira too, because I think if the game was still tied, Vieira would have been on much earlier. But since we have the lead, Odegaard seems to have that kind of a rhythm, kind of a experience when he kind of trapped back and stuff like that. Vieira doesn't have that instinct yet, but he will get there. But I felt like in that moment, you just don't know who to sub in, because everybody is so important on the pitch. Even though I wasn't quite sure if Gabriel Jesus should leave or should be subbed off, but at the same time, makes sense. There's only 5 minutes to play. And at that moment, the right thing for Arsenal to do was actually to keep on pressing the back line, which you need Nketiah's speed, hunger to do it. And in the end, we did the job. We got the win. It's a statement victory for sure. And Arsenal is back on top right now. First with 24 points, 1 point away from Man City. And Liverpool, I just feel bad. I don't think their performance was horrible. I think again, Trent can't defend, but he can also certainly perform a job elsewhere, right? That's why I keep thinking. It's like, I don't know if he's suitable as a right back, but how about a right wing potentially? Or maybe a center back, CDM, something like that. That might be suitable for his game, because I feel bad for Liverpool when you have when you have the weakest link in the team on your back four. It's a struggle, to be honest. And I feel for them, because I felt like Van Dijk was fine, Matip was fine, Synecas was. I think they're all fine, but it's just all those two goals kind of came from the left hand side only. And of course, the midfield for Liverpool was very experienced, and when you have Thiago on the ball, I'm just sweating my balls off, because I always think I very much admire Thiago. I think he's a very good player, to be honest. He's a very good passer as well. Every time when he was on the ball and he decided to do some sort of like lob through ball, I get panic a little bit, because the ball that he put was very their quality. So and then with Gabriel's clumsiness, just kind of adds to the feeling of the unsettling feeling that Arsenal backline can give you. But anyway, 3-2 was the final score. Good win, to be honest. A statement victory, as I said, and we're back on the league table. And the one on Thursday, Bodo Glimt away, I don't think I'll be watching. I just have a few interviews in the morning, but unfortunately conflicted with the schedule. that's fine. I'm sure I'm gonna watch the game at night, so I don't think that video will be out until the Friday, the day after. But later in that, after that, we have Leeds, so that's gonna be fun. So thank you guys for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed this video podcast. Like this video, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys in a bit.